Time for JesterEngine.com's Daily Tech Rundown. Big headline to kick us off. SpaceX has filed with the FCC to launch up to 1 million so-called orbital data centers, solar-powered satellites intended to run AI workloads.
Yep, it's bold. The filing describes narrow orbital shells, up to 50 kilometers thick, and SpaceX calls this the most efficient way to meet skyrocketing AI compute demand.
1 million. To put that in perspective, they just passed the 11,000th Starlink launch, and roughly 9,600 are tracked in orbit right now. That's astronomical, literally. What are the immediate technical and regulatory implications here?
Regulators will focus on collision risk, radio spectrum allocation, debris mitigation, and overall space traffic management. The FCC typically trims these requests. SpaceX has used this tactic before, asking big and then negotiating down. Still, even a fraction of 1 million new satellites would be a major shift for orbital crowding and frequency use.
And from a business and engineering view, solar-powered compute and low Earth orbit sounds efficient on paper, but what about operating and maintenance realities?
Solar helps reduce fuel needs, but you still have thermal management, fault tolerance, and the logistics of replacing hardware. Latency advantages are limited compared to ground or terrestrial edge compute, and you probably need a hybrid model. Also, international coordination matters. Other nations and operators will want assurances about debris and interference.
So the upshot is ambition plus negotiation, big proposal, smaller final deployment likely. Also, I'll sleep better knowing the FCC's on the case.
For now, yes, but keep your telescope handy. This is the sort of filing that sets agendas for years.
Next up, the workplace is changing fast. Reports say nearly a third of code is now generated by AI for some developers, driving real productivity gains. But experts warn about over-reliance and skill erosion.
Right. Studies show big boosts for certain workflows, but gains are concentrated. The flip side is junior staff may miss out on learning fundamentals if routine tasks vanish, and heavy AI use can inflate confidence while dulling judgment.
That's troubling. How should companies balance the short-term efficiency with long-term skill development?
Practical steps. Enforce human-in-the-loop reviews. Rotate assignments so juniors still get end-to-end exposure. Mandate code reviews focused on reasoning, not just correctness. And invest in apprenticeships that pair AI-assisted productivity with mentorship. Also, retention of institutional knowledge must be explicit. Document why a fix was chosen, not just that the fix exists.
And then there's the weirder corner of the web, agentic systems, Moltbook, for instance, where tens of thousands of AI agents talk and even trade a meme coin. Is this sci-fi or a security headache?
A bit of both. Agentic systems can automate workflows in powerful ways, but they raise privacy, security, and governance questions. Agents coordinating financial actions or forming emergent communities need guardrails, transaction limits, identity verification, audit trails, and sandboxing to prevent runaway behavior. Human oversight doesn't disappear. It shifts to managing the connection and policy layer.
So we get the cake and the calories, big productivity, but we still need good management and ethical seasoning.
Exactly. Bake carefully.
Shifting gears to infrastructure, emergency power cuts hit parts of Ukraine and neighboring Moldova after a technical malfunction on cross-border power lines. Officials have publicly ruled out a Russian cyber attack.
The outages were serious. Traffic lights and public systems went dark in Moldova, and Ukraine carried out emergency cuts as they assessed the grid during a bitter winter. Officials point to a technical fault on the interconnectors.
With tensions in the region, I imagine the knee-jerk reaction was to suspect cyber sabotage. What does ruling that out actually tell us?
It matters. If it's a hardware or operational failure, the remedy is investments in redundancy, maintenance, better monitoring, and faster automated isolation. If it were cyber, the response would be defensive cybersecurity upgrades and attribution diplomacy. Since authorities say it's a malfunction, we should focus on grid resilience, cold weather preparedness, decentralized backup capacity, and cross-border protocols for coordinated cuts so essential services keep running.
Any takeaways for tech folks listening in?
Yes. Critical infrastructure is increasingly software managed. Our responsibility is to design systems that fail safely, prioritize human critical systems, and make sure monitoring and incident response teams have clear playbooks. Also, communication with the public in a crisis reduces panic.
Good point. Cold, dark cities are no place for surprises.
Final item, an ally of India's Prime Minister has proposed a bill to ban under-16s from having social media accounts, putting the onus on platforms to verify ages. This follows moves in Australia and parts of Europe.
India is a huge market, roughly 750 million smartphones and about 1 billion internet users, so any law there would ripple globally. Supporters cite child safety and concerns that large platforms harvest youth data to train AI, effectively turning young users into unpaid data providers.
Sounds sensible on child protection. What are the practical and ethical hurdles for implementing an age ban at that scale?
Enforcement is tricky. Age verification can require IDs or biometric checks, which raise privacy concerns and exclusion risks for users who lack documents. Platforms might inadvertently push teens to less regulated services or VPNs. There's also a free speech and developmental argument. Some teens use social media for learning and community. Lawmakers need to balance safety, privacy, and access. Think parental controls, verified age tiers, and education rather than blunt bans.
And from an AI standpoint, would cutting off minors change the data landscape?
Potentially, removing a large chunk of young user data could affect content models and training datasets, particularly for localized language and culture. Platforms will have to adapt data collection practices, and regulators should demand transparency about how youth data is used.
So lots of good intentions, but complex trade-offs. As always, the details matter.
Exactly. Policy, tech, and society have to co-design the solution. The preceding audio summary was created at jesterengine.com, where you can find and verify the original sources.